Hey everyone, so hopefully you can hear me and I'm not too far from the camera, but this is the lowest makeup drawer that I have that is full, and instead of moving all this stuff around, this is actually how I do store my palettes. It's like the third from the bottom of my Alex 9 drawer, and it is just full of my larger palettes and all of that, and it would just be easier to do it from down here. So hopefully I'm not too far away sounding, and hopefully you can see all this. So this is where I store my makeup palettes, and I'm really hoping to get rid of a bunch of this stuff because I don't use a lot of these. I mean, there's palettes in here that are gorgeous, and there's palettes in here that I need to rediscover, but I also don't want to hoard palettes just because they're expensive or anything like that. So I'm going to get right into this video before it gets too long, and I'm going to warn you, there might be a bunch of swatches, there might not. We'll see what happens. So this first palette is actually one that I made myself. This is all of my depotted Wet n Wild eyeshadows. So that's what it looks like. It's not the prettiest palette in the world, but this is how I stored all of my Wet n Wild shadows. And there's like the Comfort Zone palette here, there's the Petal Pusher palette, there's also Walking on Eggshells and Silent Treatment or something like that. And then here is the Single Shadow in Creme Brulee. I'm actually going to give this up. Even though I made this myself, I don't find myself reaching for any of these shadows anymore. I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to somebody who will enjoy the Wet n Wild palettes as much as I did. This next palette is the Smashbox Pop Studio palette. This is the Studio Pop Ultimate palette. Even though it's really nice, I just really have not reached for it, and these are going to come out. Since I got it, I have used it, but I don't use it that often anymore. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to somebody who will use this. I know my mom or my sister or someone in my family would love getting this. So I'm going to pass this on. Right here I have my Meet Matte Nude palette, and this is what it looks like. There's some gorgeous shadows in here. I have not given this palette enough love since furthering my channel and doing tutorials and all that. I did have tutorials on this up. I don't know if they're still up or not. And I also gave this away in my very first giveaway. But these shadows are beautiful. They're not powdery. They are super pigmented. Matte Sing is like my favorite transition shade ever. And Matte Lombardi is just gorgeous. There those go right there. Absolutely beautiful colors. So I'm going to keep this. I have my Naked Basics palette from Urban Decay. This I love. I absolutely love. I used to take this everywhere with me traveling. It just has a bunch of matte shadows. Did something just pop out? Oh no! Oh, well that's sad. My Venus shade just popped out of here. But maybe that's a good thing. Maybe I can depot this and put it in my Z palette. We'll see what happens. I definitely loved the heck out of Naked 2 and Faint. These two are my most used shadows out of this palette. And I also love Venus, which just popped out. It's just a gorgeous, here's a little overview of, look how pigmented that is. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous shades. And Crave is really nice too. It's just a nice matte black. Absolutely beautiful. I need to use more of this. Since that shadow just popped out, I'm going to look into actually depotting this and putting it in my Z palette and keeping it with all my Makeup Geek shadows because this is really gorgeous. Right up front, I have both of my Smashbox exposure palettes. I have the full exposure and the double exposure. These shadows are great. There's a whole row of matte and a whole row of shimmer, similar to the LORAC Pro Palette, which is better than this in my opinion, but these do look gorgeous when used wet. So I'm definitely going to keep these. My double exposure palette is my newest one. I got this for Christmas, and this one also came with a dual-ended brush that I use almost every day. And these shadows are slightly different. As you can see, there's some smokier shades in here, some warmer shades, and the bottom, instead of it all being matte, there's some like satin shades on the bottom row as well, which is gorgeous. So I'm definitely going to keep this. I have this e.l.f. Beauty Book Collection. I don't even know where I got this. I got this in some sort of like gift set from the holidays, and these shadows are pretty, and I love e.l.f. shadows in these like Book of Shadow type stuff, but I am just finding that I'm not reaching for this palette. They are very, very gorgeous shades, especially these like darker shades over here are really pigmented and gorgeous, but like I said, I am not reaching for these, so I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to somebody who will use them. This is my Tarte what is this? This is like the Gorgeous Getaways palette. And this I got for Christmas last year, or I actually got this for Christmas about a year ago. It was like one of their limited edition things, and it pretty much comes with a compact. It's empty, and it has a mirror, and all you do is take these shadows, these things, which I have a shattered blush that's like all over the place right now, and I need to fix that. But you just take one of these, and you plop it in here, and then you have a to-go palette, which I really like the concept of. And yes, I don't use them as often as I would like, but I see myself using these a lot more now. These blushes are gorgeous, especially the shade that's shattered on me is just beautiful, a beautiful, beautiful blush shade. So I'm definitely going to keep this. I need to clean that up because that is quite messy, and nobody likes a mess in their makeup drawer. This was the Divergent Limited Edition Multi-Piece Collector's Palette. This was like the smaller palette. There was also a bigger one. I love the packaging. It's holographic. I got this when Divergent first came out. Sephora like came out with this, and it was amazing. And this is a really awesome, I'm going to try and not blind you. This is a really awesome to-go type palette. As you can see, it comes with a bronzer, a blush, 3 eyeshadows, and a lip gloss, and all of these are crazy pigmented colors. I'm going to keep this partly because it's limited edition, but also because this is a perfect like travel type eyeshadow palette, so I'm going to keep that. This is the Nude Tude palette from The Balm. I got this around the same time that I got the Meet Matte Nude palette. This is such a pretty palette, and it has some gorgeous shades in here, and they're so buttery and pigmented. I mean, some gorgeous, gorgeous shades in here. I have not actually reached for this in the longest, but because of how pigmented, I mean, look at that color. I'm actually going to keep this just because I want to give it another shot before I decide I want to pass it along, just because there's some gorgeous shades in here, and I just feel bad that I haven't given it enough love. So I'm going to go ahead and keep this. I have my LORAC Pro Palette. This is staying with me. I love this palette. This is probably, of everything, my all-time favorite palette. It is one of my go-to palettes if I had to choose one. It's just amazing. If you don't know what it looks like, this is what it looks like. I really have showed this color right here some love. This entire top row is matte, and this entire bottom row is like shimmery, like satin shades, and they're all equally pigmented. Both the matte and the shimmer colors are just insanely pigmented. Look at that. Absolutely gorgeous. This light bronze is like my go-to all over lid shade. Super, super stunning. So I'm keeping this. There's no way I'm getting rid of this. I'm going to keep this until I don't have any more shadows in there. This is the palette that started it all for me. This is my Naked 2 palette from Urban Decay. Probably my only, like my very first palette that I ever bought. I'm really sad that I've been neglecting this palette because all of these shadows are just to die for, especially like Verve, and I'm trying to find another finger. Snakebite was one of my all-time favorites. Half Baked was a favorite. Foxy, Tease is one of my all-time favorites. Verve, like I said, just gorgeous, gorgeous shades. If you don't know, I'm just going to swatch these. I know you probably know what these look like. Gorgeous. So I'm going to keep this. This is like an all-time favorite besides the the LORAC Pro. Even though I've been neglecting this lately, I just can't get myself to let this go. So this might need to be a rediscovered palette. We'll see. Okay, so right here I have the Maybelline The Nudes palette. I did a review on this and a look on this, and even though I like it, it's a really good like drugstore palette and has some awesome shades in here. I just don't find myself reaching for this, and I have so many shades that are like all of these. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to somebody else that will use it. I have the Urban Decay Vice 2 palette. This was a gift to me for Christmas 2 years ago as well, or whenever this came out. I don't want to blind you, so I'm going to keep that. This did come shattered, this shade in Radar. I tried to fix it and it just was not working. It's a really pretty color, but I mean, it's staying in there pretty well. And there's some gorgeous shades in here. I have to experiment with these shades more. I'm not going to be getting rid of this just because I just really need to play around with this more. So I'm going to keep this. Here I have the much sought after and like super limited edition LORAC Mega Pro palette. I was so happy to get my hands on this when it came out. It sold out so fast, and even though it had a few restocks after it came out, like people were still having a hard time finding this and getting their hands on this. So I was super excited that I was able to get this. I was just so sad that I could not get one of these for you guys to give away. I would have loved to give one of these away to you guys because this palette is amazing. So if you don't know what it looks like, this is what it looks like. It's amazing in comparison, hopefully you can see, in comparison to the LORAC Pro Palette. You have the row of mattes and the row of shimmers, where this one you have 2 rows of matte and 2 rows of shimmers. And there are some repeat colors in both palettes, like espresso here and espresso here is the same. But this espresso actually came shattered when I bought it. I got it from Amazon when it restocked on Amazon, and their packaging was horrible on shipping this. So even though I'm sad that it came destroyed here and I tried to fix it, it just wasn't working for me. So it's not quite the same. I'm glad I have espresso down here. The cream here and the cream here is the same. White here and white here is the same. And I think those are the only colors that are the same. The black and the black are the same. Everything else is different, and this palette is just amazing. So I am definitely keeping that palette without a doubt. There's no way I'm getting rid of that, especially because it's so hard to find and it's limited edition. I'm trying not to be a hoarder, but this palette is too amazing to give up. I have the LORAC Pro To Go palette. I got this when it first came out after this one. I actually think I might have gotten this one first and then this one. I'm not entirely sure. And even though it's a good concept, it comes with some awesome shades in here, like Chai and Mink. Beautiful, beautiful shades. And Cafe is like a gorgeous transition shade. I just don't find myself reaching for this anymore, especially with the Divergent palette. This one's a little bit more versatile, but this one, I don't know. It's hard to explain. So of the 2 To Go palettes, if I had to choose one, this is hard. I was going to get rid of this one, but just because I have the LORAC Pro palette, but I don't know if I can. It also comes with 2 blushes and a bronzer here, and this bronzer shade is very, very orange. Okay, I think that just did it for me. So I'm going to pass on this LORAC Pro palette because even though I love the eyeshadows, I realize why I don't use this palette too often, and that's because of these shades. Even though these blushes are kind of pretty, they're okay, they're not the best. That bronzer is way too warm for me, so I'm going to go ahead and pass this on. I have the Balm's Voyage palette. I think I got this from Haute Look. I think I got all my Balm palettes from Haute Look, by the way, because they were like half price and so much better. This D4 right here is a gorgeous army green, like insanely gorgeous. Love it. So I love this palette, and it also comes with a flat down of 3 lip and cheek tints, and these are okay as well. They are pretty pigmented, so ooh, I think I'm mixing shadows with tint right here. Oh no, but they are pretty pigmented, so I like this palette. I'm going to keep it. I need to use it more. Next in here is my Too Faced Everything Nice palette. I got this the past holidays. So this palette comes with a whole bunch of shadows on this side, which are gorgeous. All these are beautiful. I need to play with them more. And then on this side, it comes with 2 blushes, which are gorgeous. The Chocolate Soleil bronzer, which smells like chocolate and it's amazing. And this Inner Light highlighter, and then some brushes. So I'm going to keep this. I need to play with it more. I really do. But since it is fairly new, I just got it this winter, I am going to keep this in my stash. I actually have 3 Morphe palettes. This top one I am not getting rid of. This is the Jaclyn Hill Favorites palette. It's gorgeous. I did a look and review on this palette, and I'll link that down below if you're interested. Gorgeous shades in here. Not getting rid of that at all. So this is my Morphe 35C palette. I love this palette. I haven't used it a whole lot since I got it. I actually got it from a friend here on YouTube. I bought it from her because she was selling it. But these colors are so pigmented and vibrant that there's no way I'm getting rid of it, because you never know when you're going to need colors like that. Like, come on now. So I am definitely keeping this. And then back here is another Morphe palette, and this one is in 35U, and it's pretty much the same shades but in shimmer form, like satin finishes. So there goes that. And I actually did lose some of these in transition when I bought them from her. Sadly, some of them did not make it, but all these colors are still gorgeous. This green is like to die for. Gorgeous, gorgeous green. All these colors are beautiful, so I'm keeping them. This is the Urban Decay Gunmetal eyeshadow palette. I think that's what this is called. I got this when it was like 10 bucks. I think they were redoing the palette or something. I don't know if they still have this. But I don't use any of these shades. They're all really nicely pigmented, especially Mildew. But I just don't see myself using this palette, so I'm going to pass it on to someone who will love it. I have my Stila In the Moment palette. This is one of the random palettes that my husband actually bought for me when I first started YouTube. And even though these shadows are gorgeous, especially this gold and this purple, absolutely love these shadows and how pigmented they are. But I don't reach for this shadow palette ever, actually. Ever since I got it, I have not used it once I started accumulating all these other shadow palettes. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this on to someone who will love it. This is the Balm's How About Them Apples Cheek and Lip Cream palette. I got this for free actually from Birchbox to review. And this was when it first came out. This is what it looks like. It just has 6 cream shadow colors, I guess. I really like the names, and I love that there's some hot guys on the side. This one's Cider, Cobbler, Pie, Crisp, Candy, and Caramel, so they're all like apple related. And even though they're gorgeous, some of these come out, or all of these come out, so they don't even stay in this palette. I may or may not have just screwed up the order of these since they all came out, but I think I'm going to go through this and swatch them and then just get rid of some of the shades since they all like to pop out on me, and put the ones that I want to keep in a Z palette. These are all the palettes that I'm keeping. I think I did a pretty good job. It's a little bit less cluttered. I still have a ton of palettes, but it's a little less cluttered than it was before, so I'm keeping all these, and I think I did a pretty darn good job with that. These are all of the palettes that I decided to pass on to some new owners. So in all, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In all, I have 7 palettes that I'm getting rid of, and I'm actually pretty proud of that because it's really hard to get rid of palettes, especially when a lot of them cost so much money. You just don't want to part with them, but I really think it's time to part with these palettes. Hopefully this video was not too long. I tried my best to condense it as much as possible, but I have so many palettes and it's really possible that this was like forever long. So hopefully if it wasn't too long, you liked it. Give this video a thumbs up if you want to see more decluttering videos. I have an entire series of decluttering videos. There should be 10 in total by the time I finish filming all of these and uploading them. So 10 in total. I will have it all linked in a decluttering playlist, which I'll link down below in the description box if you want to see more decluttering videos. How many times can I say decluttering? Follow me on all my social medias if you want to stay updated on my life. Subscribe to my channel if you have not already. If you love me doing series videos, let me know. Comment down below, give me suggestions and all of that, and I would love to hear from you. But other than that, I love you guys so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.